Ciao guys and welcome back, it's your friend Luca, and in today's video we're gonna have a look at the Lumix 24-60 F2.8 lens. A lens that surprised me at the first sight because, considering the size and weight, I was a little bit concerned about the optical performances of it. But after using it since April during the Lumix Summit in Lisbon and using it on the Lumix S1 Mark II, S5 Mark II and S1R Mark II, I can easily say that this lens is performing pretty well. And while it's not really playing on the same league as the 24-70 F2.8 S Pro zoom lens, I consider this new lens a solid option if you're looking for a fast and reliable zoom lens. Because the majority of you don't read the disclosure I write in the description, let me explain that Lumix loaned me this Lumix 24-60, the S1 Mark II and the S1R Mark II as a long-term loan, so I'm able to create this content for you. I'm not getting paid and I'm free to say whatever I want about their products. There is an actual sponsor of this video, that is Zhiyun. The X100 RGB LED light is super light, even with the 55 Wh detachable battery that lasts 34 minutes at full power, and with this combination you can easily clamp it everywhere. If you need to record for a prolonged period of time, you can use the power brick included in the bag, and if you are on the go, you can power the light with a power bank or a V-mount battery thanks to the USB-C port. It comes with a super useful lens reflector that boosts the output of the light, and you can even attach the magnetic barn doors in case you want to give a different shape to your light. In CCT mode we have a range from 2500 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. We have a full RGB coverage where the green boosts a bit more power compared to the other main colors. You can attach a standard bow and mount adapter where you can use your softbox and umbrellas. But you can also attach the Zhiyun mini spotlight if you want to add light patterns in your photos or videos. You can control the light with the app, and you can also manually control the light thanks to the power on-off button and the two control knob to adjust the intensity and color variance of the light. Honestly, this light looks awesome with the leather finish and cool carry bag. If you want to know more about this light, I will leave an affiliate link in the description. Thanks guys. This is one of those lenses that looks so small and light that you think that there should be some sort of compromises in it. And actually there are a couple, but they are minor, and honestly I think you can definitely live with them. This lens is feather light, it weighs approximately 550 grams, so it's 400 grams lighter than the 24-70 f2.8, and it balances really well on all the Lumix S cameras. Maybe not that well on the Lumix S9, because that camera doesn't really have a nice grip, but on all the rest of Lumix cameras, this lens is truly fantastic. And honestly, since I got it, I've been using it on a daily basis for paid jobs, but also during my trips, on vacations or photography missions. And that means that this lens basically replaced my 20-60mm zoom lens, because I enjoy more the image quality coming out from this lens, plus I get the versatility of having a bright aperture that I can use in low light situation. The 20-60mm is a great lens, don't get me wrong, especially if you plan to talk on the camera or if you plan to capture some wide landscape or cityscape shots, but I rather prefer to sacrifice those 4mm on the wide end to have a constant f2.8 aperture zoom. This lens is not going to replace my Lumix S Pro 24-70mm f2.8 because I prefer more the rendering of the images captured by that lens, because it has a typical Leica look, while this 24-60, while being smaller and lighter, it has a typical look similar to the Zeiss lenses that I'm used to, and I really like using it in some specific situation. For example, if you need an all-around zoom lens for cityscape, street photography, landscape, I would say that this lens will do the job and is going to be perfectly fine for almost all those applications. But in case you need that extra sauce in your images, if you need that typical cinematic or let's say beautiful type of look, the S Pro 24-70 is going to be my first choice. But because I'm mostly working in the corporate field and I'm not really shooting some passion projects that need some beauty shots, this 24-60 has been my workhorse since April, and I never took it off from one of those cameras I'm using for the corporate gigs I film. And actually, since I got this lens, I reduced the amount of lens lenses I bring with me when I work abroad, because before I was always bringing the 20-60mm, the 50mm and 85mm f1.8, but now I can simply bring this zoom lens that has the ultra wide and a normal field of view and an extra 85mm f1.8. In terms of build construction, the lens feels solid, is made out of plastic with a metal mount. It has a smooth zoom ring similar to the one we find on the 24-105 f4 zoom lens. It definitely feels smoother than the 20-60mm, but it doesn't play on the same league as the 24-70 S Pro, because that's the smoothest I've tried until now. It has also a focus ring that you can customize in the settings of the camera to whatever you want. For example, you can set it to set your aperture value or other extra functions you decide to apply in your camera. We also have the autofocus manual focus switch and a function custom button that we can personalize in the settings of the camera. This lens has a 77mm filter thread that is bigger than what we are used to see on the 20-60 and the f1.8 line of primes that are using 67mm filter thread. And like all the Lumix S lenses, this is weather sealed, and that means you can bring it out during harsh weather conditions. In terms of sharpness, this lens is doing a fantastic job, already wide open at f2.8 in the center, and is going to reach the maximum amount of sharpness on the edges by f5.6 through the whole zoom range. And another great quality of this lens that is not present on the f1.8 primes is that this lens doesn't suffer much from distortion, and most importantly, the distortion doesn't warp from pincushion to barrel distortion if you change the focus point, and that is happening through the whole zoom range. That is super important if you plan to film in Blackmagic RAW externally with your Lumix S camera, because otherwise you're gonna have to adjust manually pincushion and barrel distortion according to the focus point. Another important aspect to consider with a low distortion lens is that the edges performances are going to be much better. So in terms of corner sharpness, when you stop down this lens at f5.6, you're gonna get sharper images compared to what we are seeing with the Lumix S f1.8 series of prime, but also with the 20-60 and 24-70 f2.8 S Pro. So basically this is probably the best landscape photography lens if you really care about corner sharpness. The colors and contrast levels are similar to what we have seen on the 24-105 f4 zoom lens, that are pretty good and neutral, I would say a bit clinical. In terms of vignetting, this lens is suffering from strong vignetting from 24mm up to 35mm and from 50-60mm. The perfect range if you care about vignetting is between 35 and 45mm. In terms of chromatic aberrations, you can spot a minimum amount of blue fringing if you keep the lens wide open, but they will slowly disappear if you stop down the lens. And that's the same also for the longitudinal chromatic aberrations, because this lens is suffering from green and magenta color fringing, and that is afflicting the quality of the bokeh, especially if you place your subject at 3 or 4 meters far from your camera, because the bokeh looks a little bit nervous, while if you keep the subject between the minimum focus distance and 1.5 meters, the bokeh quality is going to be pretty good. In terms of highlight and shadow roll-off, this lens is performing averagely, similar to what we are seeing on the Lumix S f1.8 primes. And that's not my favorite look, that's why I always keep this lens with a diffusion filter that helps a little bit to smooth out gently the highlights, so they don't clip in a digital way. If you would like to use this lens for casual vlogging outdoor, this is the field of view you get at 24mm at f2.8. While this is the look you will get from the kit lens 20-60 at 20mm f3.5. So I think this is more useful if you are vlogging handheld, and in my case I like to use the 24-60 in combination with the 18mm f1.8 and the 85mm f1.8 if I need some extra reach. If you would like to see a size comparison between the two lenses, here I have the 24-70 S Pro and here I have the 24-60 f2.8. As you can see, the difference in size is quite substantial. And the 24-70 S Pro has a 82mm filter thread, so the lens feels chunkier than the 24-60 that has a 77mm filter thread. And this is how the lenses are looking when you extend the barrel to reach the maximum focal length. In this case, the gap is not that big, but yeah, when you store the lenses in your camera bag, the 24-60 is gonna take way less space than the 24-70. If you want to be lightweight, the f1.8 prime lenses are the better choice. But yeah, if you will need to buy the 24, 35 and 50mm with the S prime lenses, you will spend something around 1600 euros, while you can have all those focal length with the 24-60 f2.8 for less than 1000 euros. So I really think that this 24-60 is a true gem of a lens, and you definitely need to add it in your kit because it's worth the money. The 24-70 S Pro is also worth the money, but this one will get the job done, nobody's gonna complain about it, and you will have a better return of investment spending $1000 instead of $2000. If you're afraid that the lens is not long enough because it stops at 60mm, thanks to the hybrid zoom we can reach 93mm focal length while keeping the 4K resolution, because we're gonna crop into the sensor. In terms of autofocus performances, this lens is doing a fantastic job, and I would say that if you need the maximum autofocus speed, the S1 Mark II and the 24-60 is going to be a fantastic combination. If you plan to use this lens with older generation of Lumix cameras like the S1, S5 or S1H, this lens is performing good enough. I would say that the Lumix S Pro 24-70 is performing a bit better because of the dual linear motors. So in conclusion, I consider this lens pretty fantastic. I've been using it non-stop since April and I'm very happy with the results I'm getting with this lens. Plus, the size and weight are super convenient, and most of the time convenience might be more valuable than absolute image quality. In my opinion, this lens is a winner and I can highly recommend it to you. If you have any question or if you need more information about this lens, feel free to leave a comment in the comment area, and in the description I will leave some affiliate links that will highly support my channel and help me to create more content on YouTube. So this is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!